Hi everybody, welcome to Travel Guide and Photography. Larry here in beautiful Thailand at my home. And yes, it is hot. It's Thailand. It's the summertime. It is hot and humid. So we're going to get through this today and have some fun. First, if you have not been to my channel before, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I have been asked if photographs in my videos are mine or if they are stock. I've been a professional photojournalist and published since 1979, and all the images in my videos are my images. Okay, good. That's out of the way, so we can get on to this week's subject. And what are we going to talk about this week? We are going to talk about Africa, specifically South Africa. Very specifically, we're going to talk about Ngwalala Private Game Reserve, and we're going to talk about Kruger National Park, which is a national park. I was fortunate enough a few years ago to be invited by a couple of my good friends, Lisa Parker and her father Greg, who are both wonderful photographers, to go on a 10-day photo safari in South Africa. It's always been a dream of mine. And if it's been a dream of yours, you need to go, especially if you're a photographer. But even if you're not a photographer, it's just a wonderful thing to go there and experience the wildlife in their natural habitat. One of the things that happened on this safari is something I will never forget. It's one of the most profound days of my entire life. I came to vast realizations about a couple things, and I got a bug on my lens. Let me get rid of that. Okay, I'm back. Yes, I had a bug on the lens. Why? Because I'm in Thailand. And I live, if you look right behind me, very close to the jungle. So there are bugs, there are critters. There's over 200 different snakes in this place. I've only seen one. I know they're out there, but I was out on one of my hikes and ran into a cobra. I've had a friend wake up one day and find a cobra in his house. We live in a virtual jungle. It's an ecosystem. All right, let's talk a little bit about our photo safari. As I said, this is one of the most profound things you'll ever do in your entire life. And if you are lucky enough in some ways and unfortunate enough in another way, you'll see what I saw. As I said, it's one of those life-changing things. It really makes you think about stuff. So while we're there, we saw a lot of wildlife. We saw Cape buffalo, rhinoceros, elephants, cheetahs. Didn't get to see the leopard, we tried, but they're very elusive. On day 7 of our 10-day safari is when I finally saw a lion. We looked everywhere, every day, and couldn't find any lions. But on day 7, we saw 17 different lions. It was a rainy day, and you stay in your car whether it's raining or not. If you get out of your car in one of these national parks, especially in Africa, guess what? You could get eaten, and that's realistic. We probably all saw the videos on YouTube. I've seen a couple of them where somebody gets out of the car and the next thing you know, they're being chased by a lion or by a cheetah. And cheetahs are fast. Lions are bad enough. So stay in your car. Even in the United States, I have seen videos of Yellowstone National Park, which I used to live pretty close to, where people are out and thinking they're going to pet a bison. No, they are wild animals. They will chase you and they can kill you. So stay in your car. All right, that's our little caution tale. Pay attention to it. Anyhow, we were photographing this group of lions. There were a couple males, a couple females, and a couple cubs. And we spent about 2 hours there photographing them. And then we decided to go drive around and see what else we can find. We ran into another pride. It was about 4 or 5 males. They're all doing what males do. They're laying around, they're laying on their backs, they're stretching out. And the females are kind of looking out for what's going on. Later on that day, after we'd driven around trying to find more wildlife, we were at a watering hole. And there was a lion there, stooped down, drinking water. Greg looked at me and said, "Larry, I'll tell you what, you don't really see lions drinking very often. This is really special." But we both noticed the lion was kind of laying a little bit differently. It just didn't look right. After a few minutes, the lion got up and started to walk away. That lion was nothing but skin and bones. It had very little energy. And at some point, it must have gotten kicked out of its pride, whether it got injured or whether it got sick, and it just couldn't keep up with the rest of the pride. And this is Africa. This is wildlife. This is what happens in wildlife. It's part of nature, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it would walk maybe 30 paces, and then it would drop its head as if to rest and to catch its breath. Then it would walk another 30 paces and stop and drop its head and take another breath and get up a little bit more energy. And this happened for about 100 or 200 yards until it got to the top of a very small rise. And then it turned around and laid down. All this was close to sunset, but there was still a lot of light. After a little while, a small herd of elephants came up to the watering hole, and they began to drink and throw water on themselves, and there was a couple little ones were having a lot of fun playing in the water. One of the elephants, one of the larger elephants, began to walk towards the rise, and my guess was going to go on the rise and be a lookout for the herd. When it got to the top of the rise, it noticed the lion. Elephants and lions are not best friends. It started trumpeting, its ears were wagging, it's making a lot of sound, and that lion turned around with every ounce of energy it had and took off as the elephant started chasing it. And the elephant continued to chase it, and the lion continued to run. After a little while, things settled down, and we decided to backtrack a few hundred yards where the lion disappeared to see what happened. So we drove, stopped near a small tree where the lion was laying on the ground. I took a few photographs for a handful of minutes as the lion lay panting. As I said, I'm a professional photojournalist. I document things. And then I put the camera down. It was obvious that the lion had spent a lot of its energy. And we locked eyes. And we must have sat there for 45 minutes to an hour. And I just kept staring at the lion. I could tell it was dying. Towards the end, one ear wiggled a little bit. His chest heaved as he took his last breath. And he died in front of me. I'm sorry. Even after all these years, this is emotional for me. That lion's name was Skybed Scar. He was in a group of small male lions. And as I said, for one reason or another, he got kicked out of the pride and ended up starving to death. A photo of this, someone posted on Reddit years ago. And a lot of people appreciated it for what it was. But there were a lot of people that were very angry at me. And they were talking about how I should have done something, how I should have fed the lion. Well, again, this is nature. This is what happens in nature. And in these game preserves, nature rules. And there are rules that you can't feed the animals. You can't help the animals. You let nature take its course. So after you look at this video, you may get sad, like I am. You may get angry at me for not doing anything. And at least these animals in these game preserves are not locked up in a zoo. And zoos have their places, I understand that. Some people can't get out into nature. And I don't really mind zoos that much if the animals are kept in large enclosures, or if it's a rescue facility or a sanctuary. But I really love and I really appreciate what goes on in these national parks, in these game preserves. And if you ever get the chance to go to a game preserve anywhere and view wildlife, do it. It's something that will change your life, especially if you're fortunate enough to witness what I witnessed on this day. Okay, that's going to wrap up this video. Not as long as my other videos. More sad than my other videos. But it's realistic. It's life. So, if you like travel guide and photography, please subscribe. It costs you nothing. And I'm going to do my very best to keep videos coming to you. In 3 weeks, I'm going back to my ship. And for the following 7 months, I'm going to be in Greece, the Middle East, and Africa. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. I'd love to keep this channel going and being able to inform you on different places around the world. This entire channel is geared for you to benefit from my advice and my experiences. So it may give you a little bit better clue or a little bit of insight where you may like to go on your next vacation.